morning, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Bromfield Now. For years, we have been told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but is it really? Let's start with you, Phil.
Well, there have been multiple studies that have shown that breakfast is a great way to benefit your overall health. When you wake up in the morning, your blood sugars are at an all-time low because you've been going through an all-night fast. When your blood sugar is low, your cortisol levels will tend to spike. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and when these levels are too high, you become more anxious, irritable, and have more food cravings. So by eating in the morning, you're going to return your blood sugar and your cortisol levels back to normal, which is going to help you have an overall much healthier day.
I agree, Phil. If you plan on exerting any amount of energy in the morning, like walking or biking to work, or even just exercising, you should seriously consider eating breakfast. After sleeping all night, in which your body is going through a fast, your energy levels are normally restored to normal during breakfast. And if you skip breakfast, you won't receive the carbohydrates needed to get back to this level, and your day will overall be much more lethargic.
This doesn't just go for physical work, but also for mental. If you plan having to think and focus a lot during that whole entire day, eating breakfast is a great way to give yourself that boost.
I don't think skipping breakfast would be as serious as you think, though.
Well, when you wake up in the morning and you don't eat right away, your body thinks you're depriving it of those nutrients and it's going to go into starvation mode. This means anything you eat later on in the day, your body is way less likely to burn off. So if you decide to go for that donut around snack time, your body's going to cling onto everything in it and you're not going to be able to burn it off, and that's not healthy. So by eating breakfast, you're going to be able to really kickstart your metabolism.
So does eating breakfast relate to weight loss?
Well, eating breakfast is associated with using more energy through physical movement throughout the day. It makes sense that people who don't eat breakfast wouldn't move as much because they don't have as much energy. So a lot of people will point to this, as well as the idea that if you don't eat breakfast, you'll eat more later, to support the idea that eating breakfast is related with weight loss, which is not necessarily true. Breakfast eaters do tend to have lower body mass indexes, but that might just be due to other healthy habits. And also, lower body weight doesn't always mean you're healthier.
So overall, breakfast can be a crucial meal for those who exercise a lot or exert large amounts of energy, and for those who need to be mentally focused throughout the day. But it may not be as important as you have been led to believe. Thank you for watching this special edition of Bromfield Now.
Today, we are talking about an interesting topic that we're sure you can all relate to. Group projects. Are they friend or foe?
So this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that group projects are pretty great. They can contribute to collaboration and teamwork, and they allow each individual member of the group to not have to do as much work as they usually do. Overall, I think that group projects are really positive and they can promote learning.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the points that you're stating, but for the same reasons, group projects can definitely end up becoming a burden for some individuals, especially if you're stuck with people who do not value the project as much as you do. As a result, one group member may have to carry the majority of the workload while the others slack off. This phenomenon is known as social loafing in the psychology world, and it occurs when someone exerts less effort in a group environment than they would when they're working individually. Unfortunately, as member population increases, the overall effort each person exerts decreases. Once group size hits 3 to 4 members, overall effort exerted can drop to below 50%.
I'm going to have to agree with Kyle. A couple weeks ago, I was doing a group paper with 2 other people. One person slacked off throughout the entire project, leaving the other person in the group and me to do all of the work ourselves. We knew it wasn't going to work out from the beginning when the person didn't contribute to the making of the outline. When it came to the writing of the actual paper, they volunteered to take on extra work since they hadn't assisted with the outline. However, by the day it was due, their assigned portion of the work was still unfinished, and we were forced to turn in the paper like that.
Well, Vimbai, I think in that situation you could have reached out to the other member. If you had done that, things might have turned out differently.
Well, that was the most annoying part of the situation. You see, we tried to do exactly that, and they never got back to us. We couldn't do their part of the work for them because we didn't understand what they were trying to say.
Yeah, as much as I think groups can definitely be beneficial, the situation that you mentioned is a really relevant one. Another thing that can happen though when working in groups is a big problem called groupthink. Now, groupthink occurs when groups are really creative and collaborative together and they have a strong leader. Now, what happens in groupthink is that one person suggests an idea that everybody agrees to, regardless of whether their actual opinion is in alignment with that idea. Two big problems can happen when groupthink occurs. One, the collaboration of the group is diminished, and two, creativity can be stifled. And I'm sure that some of you have been in a group before where a leader takes over, everybody agrees to what they say, and then opinions are pushed to the margins.
Well, that's just about all the time we have. I think that we can all agree that under the right circumstances, group projects can be great. They allow for collaboration and working as a team, producing work stronger than any individual member could produce on their own, and preparing us for the majority of our adult lives. Under the wrong circumstances, one or two unlucky members may be stuck with carrying twice their workload, or otherwise turning in an unfinished paper and getting a grade that they don't deserve. Furthermore, groupthink can occur, and creativity can be stifled. I think that before a group project is considered, all of this needs to be taken into account, and you need to decide if a group project is really the best choice for you. Thanks for watching.
Hi, and welcome to this special segment of Bromfield Now. Today, we're discussing the top Pixar movies of all time. We've narrowed it down to two choices, Up and Toy Story. We reached these decisions based on the following criteria: animation, emotional impact, and graphics. Now, let's open up the debate. Misha, what do you think?
I believe that Up is the best Pixar movie of all time due to its use of emotion. The film plays around with the idea of letting go of one's past and moving on and creating new relationships. In the first 11 minutes of the film, Carl's wife, Ellie, passes away, and this leaves the audience heartbroken. This emotionally invests the audience in Carl and joins him on the adventure of a lifetime.
That's right, and many critics gave Up high ratings, such as Rotten Tomatoes, which gave it a 98%. Common Sense Media gave it a 5 out of 5, and The Telegraph, a very popular British newspaper, called Up a very special gift. Furthermore, Up was nominated for 5 Academy Awards for things such as Best Picture. This just proves how influential a movie it was, and why many people liked it.
And the animation was also amazing. The animation team spent a week in Venezuela sketching the plants, animals, and topography to perfection. They also had to tackle the challenge of animating 10,000 to 20,000 balloons in the house and the hundreds of feathers seen on the rare bird Kevin.
That's right, and the Up team chose an old man as a protagonist because they thought that would be a good source of humor, which turned out to be true. Also, there's some adult humor thrown into the movie and children's humor too, which makes it funny for everyone. So, Nick Joe, you've been pretty quiet. What do you have to say?
Well, Austin, I'm going to have to go with Toy Story here because it's not really just a movie about toys. It uses the film to teach us important lessons such as friendship, compassion, and acceptance. It teaches these lessons through the two main characters, Woody and Buzz, who start off as bitter rivals, but at the end of the film become best friends.
Not to mention, Toy Story has great animation. Toy Story was the first film in Hollywood to be made completely from computer-generated animation. This is simply groundbreaking and has changed the film industry forever.
Not only did Toy Story revolutionize the film animation industry, but it paved a new way for all the film animation movies after it. It took a unique idea, toys that come alive, and they used it to teach the lessons that were previously stated and added onto it by adding action, drama, and humor. This made the film interesting for both kids and adults.
Up's a great movie, you can't deny that. But what makes Toy Story so great is its interesting plot and its mix of action and humor. This led to the creation of 2 sequels which have been enormously successful. Up simply doesn't have that, and for that reason, Toy Story takes the gold.
No way, Jose. Toy Story can simply not compete with Up's animation and emotional connection. Toy Story's characters' movements look odd and forced, and the Up animation team, on average, spent 4 seconds a week animating the characters. If that doesn't show you their attention to detail, then I don't know what does.
Up also had a much bigger budget. The proof is in the numbers. Up grossed $700 million worldwide, while Toy Story made half of that.
Well, the thing is, budget doesn't really matter. The Shawshank Redemption had a budget of $25 million, but it only made $58 million in the box office, despite being renowned as one of the greatest films of all time.
That's a great point, Nick. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us on this special segment of Bromfield Now.
Good morning, Bromfield. There is a cloud shattering over the health of ignorant consumers, disguised with fun flavors and a discreet design. This cloud is vape. Vaping has grown substantially since 2003 when it was first introduced and has turned into a $3 billion industry with 466 plus brands and 7,500 flavors. So some people believe that vaping is healthy and can help you quit cigarettes, while other people believe that vaping is worse than cigarettes. Since vaping is fairly new, we cannot know the long-term effects it could have on the human body, but there are many arguments and studies that try to dive into this.
Yeah, there was a study done recently by some universities and some institutes, and they wanted to study the levels of NNAL, which is a potent chemical inside tobacco products, in relation to smokers and what they smoke. So they took 3 different groups. They had people who daily smoked cigarettes, they had people who smoked a combination of e-cigs and cigarettes, and then they had a group of people who smoked just e-cigs. And what they found was that the people who smoked the combination and just cigarettes were exposed to so many more dangerous chemicals in their blood and urine tests. And the people who smoked just e-cigs had chemicals in their body that were 95% less harmful than cigarettes.
Yeah, well, although vaping is safer than smoking, safer doesn't necessarily mean safe. We are in no way trying to support the use of e-cigarettes or vaping. The Juuls Labs mission statement clearly states that they strongly condemn the use of their product by minors. In fact, selling their product to someone under the age of 18 is illegal, and there's a reason why.
How do you know it alone is not truly unsafe? Vaping has existed since 2003, therefore we can't know the long-term effects. It could be not serious, or they could be deadly. E-cigarettes contain toxic chemicals such as cyanide, benzene, formaldehyde, acetylene, methanol, and carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxide.
Yeah, as we all know, the human body is made to inhale oxygen, and only oxygen. Therefore, to be smoking toxic chemicals can in no way be beneficial to you. There's a chemical in vape flavorings called diacetyl, which causes popcorn lung. Popcorn lung causes symptoms such as shortness of breath, wheezing, and unexplained exhaustion. Many companies have taken diacetyl out of their products, but it is still found in e-cigarettes. And what's scary about popcorn lung is that it is irreversible and among many other of the harmful symptoms that are caused by vaping.
But could these vapes help a smoker quit cigarettes?
Yeah, I mean, they were originally invented to help cigarette smokers quit cigarettes, though they have become a starter kit for teens and young adults. It's a gateway to smoking cigarettes, leading to a much worse addiction. Chronic nicotine inhalation can result in insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, a higher increased blood pressure, and overall a higher likeliness for drug addiction.
Yeah, so on the basis of nicotine levels, if you take one of the new Juuls and one of their pods, which is 0.7 milliliters, it's said that it's 5% nicotine, which doesn't sound like a lot, but one pod of a Juul is equal to an entire pack of cigarettes, and each cigarette alone has 1 milligram of nicotine in them. And if you're going to talk about vaping, say you have a 18 milliliter tank, and it says that it's 50% nicotine. The way that that's calculated is it's talking about the amount of nicotine per milliliter of liquid. So if it's 50% nicotine, that's 9 milliliters of nicotine in each tank, which is almost equivalent to half a pack of cigarettes. So getting addicted to Juuls and e-cigs and other vapes can actually be a lot easier than you think.
Oh, looks like we're almost out of time. Just remember, vaping might seem harmless, but in reality is destructive to your health and can turn anyone into a nicotine fiend.